Welcome to the Matrix of a Learner. I've been in education now for 40 years, not as a first career, as a third. I went into education to try and resolve some of the problems that I faced as a learner myself. In doing so, I believe that the Matrix now is able to fit any person of any age, anywhere in the world, of any ability.
When it comes to the matrix, which is the focal point of the NGGE, I see that as a philosophy that ought to be shared with the world, and I would like to see that philosophy shared with leaders of countries who will then say, yes, we agree with this, and then we can see that it can be disseminated to the people.
Matrix is a program whereby we reach out to educators, and because everybody is an educator as well as a learner, we learn every day and we educate other people on a daily basis.
The Matrix of a Learner has helped our students to do better, not only in school or classroom or co-curricular activity, but it has helped us to support and educate the community in various ways.
So what I understand of the Matrix is that it's an understanding of learning that is communal.
Here in Uganda, where we have a lot of challenges, which I believe most of them are caused by education. And the matrix, if we involve the matrix in our learning, I think and believe that so many problems involving in our communities will be solved.
The Matrix of the Learner is for every individual, regardless of where they live, whether they're rich, whether they're poor, whether they're young or they're old, no matter what the religion. It's to help empower each individual to be a better human in our global society and to make the world a more collaborative, cooperative place to live.
So this program of Matrix is good. Some people, few now, have discovered this issue, and we hope some years ahead it will develop and the people are going to benefit.
We are applying the Matrix of the Learner in the society to empower all the stakeholders since 2015. In the schools, what we are planning to do is that to apply the learner philosophy of the Matrix of the Learners to empower the teachers, the students, as well as whole the community for the better world.
One of the ways that I've implemented the Matrix in my personal life is with my oldest daughter. We look at things that she wants to do, things that she's interested in. College is coming up for her, where she wants to go with her life and what she wants to do.
We hope this video will help you better understand the philosophy of the Matrix and how you can use it to become empowered and to help others the same and to create a better, sustainable world.
Hello and welcome to Give and Take, the virtues in life. And today's topic is the Matrix of a Learner. And you've got an opportunity to see an intro video to the Matrix of a Learner. You saw some of the people who've been impacted by it in a very special way. And so now we'll move into interviewing our lovely guest, who will introduce herself and tell us all about who she is and what she does. So welcome.
Hi, sweet. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Tracy Hanson, and I am an idealist, I guess. Okay. I believe that, in fact, people really are good, and they want to see success in the world, success in themselves, success in each other, and I think we just have lost our way. And haven't been able to figure out how to do that. And I think it's through education that we need to try and refocus and refine ourselves.
Right. You've been in education for a very long time. Do you want to share how you got started and you're still there hanging on and doing it in a different way? So tell us a little bit about how you got started in education.
Well, actually, education was probably the furthest thing from my mind. Being failed the education system myself, or the education system failed me. We couldn't figure out how I learned, and they wanted me to learn, and that kind of thing. And so I was very turned off and disengaged with the learning process in education, and really avoided going into it. So it was my third career. I had tried 2 other things first.
Okay.
But a friend of mine had said, when I finally became interested in going into education, and special education was my first field, said, you know, I always knew you would. It just took you a long time to figure it out. You know?
I remember hearing those words about myself. Someone saying, oh yeah, you would do everything that you got to do. And they were talking numerology. And they're saying number 2, and because I'm 2 and 17, which is no, I don't remember. Anyway, they were saying that whatever I do, I'll accomplish it. It just takes longer than others. So
and
I
you know,
remember.
I actually in my book used numerology with the matrix, and investigated the number 11 because of 11 pieces to the matrix, and it means fulfillment and finding oneself, you know. And so it's interesting the way all the pieces sort of fell into place. I just started it, and everybody else is moving it now and building it and defining it.
Great. So Tracy, talk about NGGE and what that acronym stands for.
NGGE stands for Next Generation Global Education.
Okay.
Because I believe that we need to expand ourselves from the dictated, mandated government curriculums that we are given, and start thinking outside the box and learning to find the answers for ourselves instead of being told answers that people want us to know or think are the right answers. I know from my own background, my knowledge of the people in other countries was very stilted and very negative from my education. And actually meeting them and having the opportunity to go out into the rural communities, living in the Kibera ghettos in Kenya. You know, I was in Kibera for 6 weeks, and in 6 weeks there was 1 violent crime. Do you know how many violent crimes there were in Chicago in 6 weeks? It's amazing. It's amazing. And they live in these little tin shacks, you know, anywhere between 4 to 8 to 10 people in these little shacks that are, you know, smaller than what we would have as a bedroom. And yet they come up out of the mud-rutted roads from the ghettos, neat, washed, clean. You know, if you look closely, they're you know, taped up or whatever, but they're proud people, and they work hard. They work so much harder than anybody I see working around here, and for so little, and people just don't understand that they want the same things that we want, and they have resources, but they don't have the education and the knowledge to know how to use them. So, you know, but there are other people that do. In the film, one of the people said, we are all learners, and we are all educators. And we can be educated from each other, whether we're both here in the United States or I'm here in the U.S. and somebody else is in India or Malaysia or wherever they are. We have knowledge to share, and that's really what education should be. It's sharing our knowledge with each other to be able to solve the problems that face us, and then to be able to be successful and empower us to move forward. And that's it.
So that was quite a mission that you went on. What countries did you visit with this program?
Well, the first time I went out was in 2015, and it was the first time I had ever left the United States. Actually, I traveled further west than the Mississippi River, so I was not a traveler or had any experience outside of U.S. And I started in the Dominican Republic, and then I went to Kenya, Uganda, Cameroon, and Nepal the first year.
Wow.
And went back again to Kenya and Uganda, Nepal, and India are the main places right now that are using my work. Although there have been other countries now that are voicing interest in wanting to know more about how to go about doing it.
Excellent, right. So that has to have been quite some, for a first trip, that was quite a transition from, right, yes.
You know, it was a cultural shock to see barbed wire around every school, you know, and it just, yeah, it really was. But, you know, I went out with an idea to try and find out if it had any meaning to people in other countries and what their thoughts and feelings were about it. And from my travels, it's evolved to where it is now. It's actually changed a couple of times, but it's pretty solid now as far as where it is and how people view it and how they use it. So,
right, because you can hear that they really embraced it and they understood the concept that we really learned from each other. And I had that opportunity the other day. I was in a classroom covering for music. And I don't know anything about music notes. I mean, I love music, but to teach, you know, I don't know anything about the background and the ins and outs of music and the notes and all that. So this wonderful young man in class, he said to me, could have been about, I think he was like a third grader or fourth grader. He said, "Oh," he says, "may I sit with you?" I said, "Sure." And so he showed me, the first class I had, they got it, they understood it. But this class did not. So me and him together figured it out. So I was learning from him, he was learning from me, and he showed me how to work it. And I felt so good. And I said to him, "Thank you very much for sitting next to me." He said, I enjoyed sitting next to you. It was so much fun. And this is what it's about, learning from each other.
It is about that. And within the matrix, you know, we talk about the resources that we have to help us find the information to the questions that we ask. And one of the most key resources is our peers.
Right.
And peers are so powerful within a school situation, and yet they are so misjudged and so denied the opportunity to help learn from each other. You know, I have somebody who sent me this horrific picture of a group of Indian students now taking their exams, and they had cardboard boxes over their heads so they wouldn't cheat and look at so many ounces. And it was not uncommon for me to go into the schools and the teachers have sticks. And for the most part in my work, I'm not there to judge anybody.
Right.
Ask questions.
That's right.
You know, and some of the questions that I ask are pretty tough because they do challenge their culture, you know. But we also have all bought into trying to address the sustainable goals. And if there are cultural or traditional things which erode those goals or make it difficult to move forward, then they have to be questioned.
Right.
And really looked at, are they working now? And you can understand the history behind it, perhaps, and where it came from in the culture. And we're not saying to deny it, but is it still valid in this day and age?
Right, I like that. So not to question it, not to try and circumvent it or change it or anything, but to ask questions and then come to this conclusion whether it's actually needed in this day and age. I like that, because most people want to come in with their own mind in regards to what they feel is the thing to do, because they don't know anything, but we know more than they do, which is not the case.
That's a really important point too, because that was another eye-opener. I am white. I come from the United States. Therefore, their training is that I'm wealthy. And so when I would go in and I would ask them, what is it that you want? What is it that you need? It was like they thought they were going to be asking Santa Claus. I actually had one place roll out this paper and say, well, we want this, and we want this, and we want... And I said, I think that's wonderful. Now let's look and see how you can get that. You want to have tables and chairs, more tables and chairs in the classroom? Who in your community are carpenters?
That's it.
And what students would be interested in learning how to be able to build them? You have the materials, you have the educators, and you have the people who want to learn that. Now they're learning the skills that they need to be able to use to be successful. They're also learning the academics. You can't very well, think about just building a table or a chair. You have to know your math and your measurements. You have to be able to do your scale. You have to know your woods. You have to know which wood is a better wood to use for what types of things. The academics and the learning that happens from being able to do that is knowledge that then becomes their knowledge, because it's not forced on them. It's knowledge that they're learning because they're using it and they're doing something. The most important thing is that then that knowledge is shared and it's given back to the people who, help them find things.
Excellent.
So for the matrix, and I think probably the biggest difference educationally is that we don't believe that education and knowledge is for getting grades. It has nothing to do with a grade. You can get a grade and not have the skills and the abilities to use that knowledge.
Exactly.
When you have that opportunity to use it and do it, then that knowledge becomes yours. And it can't be taken away from you.
Absolutely.
The young man that was talking in Uganda, and he had a community behind him, was a community who took a field in Uganda and turned it into a school. It was the community that did that.
Right. So that's the Ubuntu. The Ubuntu is I am because we are. And so collectively we can become one. So that's the whole Ubuntu thing. And so it's a treasure of Africa. So they need to use that treasure. It's one aspect of Africa is where Ubuntu comes from, but it's a treasure, a natural resource, I like to call it, of Africa that should be used, that collectively, as you were showing them, that there's got to be someone who can do maths, someone who's a carpenter, someone who can build, someone who can lift, someone who could go find the wood. There's all of those resources there.
Look at all of the resources, yes. And I'm a firm believer that what they call vocational technology or VoTech, that kids have the opportunity to go to in high school, it should be part of the learning experience from the minute they start school.
Right. Tracy, what we're going to do, we're going to see the next clip, and then we'll come back to you, okay? Thank you.
There are times when you might feel aimless and can't see the places where you belong, but you will find that there is a purpose. It's been there within you all along, and when you're near it, you can almost hear it. It's like a symphony, just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece in their own melodies, and each each one of us. Oh, it's glorious. And you will know how to let it ring out as you discover who you are. Others around you will start to wake up to the sounds that are in their hearts. It's so amazing what we're all creating. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece, and there are melodies in each one of us. Oh, it's glorious. And as you feel the notes build, you will see. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece, and there are melodies in each one of us. Oh, it's glorious.
That was absolutely glorious.
You know, it's interesting. I heard that song when I was in Kenya with James Oma, and we were visiting juvenile delinquents in the prison, and he was using the matrix to help them work out for themselves why they're there and what they, you know, they need to figure it out for themselves. You can't tell them and then expect that they're going to be able to make amends and make changes. You know, changes have to come from inside, and you have to figure it out for yourself. And I heard that song. We were talking to a group of high school students, and I thought, you know, that's exactly what it's about. It's about each individual person, you know, fulfilling their needs and their desires and their dreams. And in doing that, then that empowers families, and families empower communities, and communities empower nations.
Beautiful.
And you can't think about learning and education and ignore families and parents.
Yes, exactly.
You do, but you can't do it and expect that it's going to work anymore. And you can't continually blame the children or the peers for the issues of education or for the bullying or for the crimes that are happening, because it isn't their problem. We spend a fortune teaching them that it is, but it's a social disease. And they can't possibly walk outside the school and not see what they're told not to do.
Right. Now, Tracy, I just want to, because we're almost to the end, I want you to just say how one could reach you, because you, this is a very worthy cause that you're doing. And so if anybody wants to reach out and support you in any way, how may they reach you?
Well, certainly my email, btracyh@gmail.com.
Okay.
And I am on Facebook, and I am on Skype, and I have many communities, many people from around the world who I meet with and work with. And I do travel. You know, I will go to different countries and work with them to help them determine what it is that they want for their program.
I like that. Yes, I like that very much, Tracy. You know, we met just a few weeks back, and it was very lovely, and we will be doing some things together. I'm happy about that. So we're just in the beginning stages, and so some great things will emerge, and so we connect. And so it was from Rukaya who put us together, and I am grateful to her. She was a guest on the show as well.
Yeah.
Yes, and so
and you're going to have the person who hitched me up to Rukaya coming on.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to have like a second part, but with different guests. So yeah.
And that's great because you get an opportunity to hear it from people in other countries.
Exactly. So it's working out really very lovely. So Tracy, just one or two things if you'd like to share with the viewers, because we're getting close now, winding down to the end. So I thank you for sharing, sharing your experiences, sharing this wonderful program that you have. Any last minute things you'd like to say to the viewers?
Well, I'm really happy to have had the opportunity to share them with the viewers.
Mm-hmm.
They're very special people. And I hope that they have the opportunity to just get a glimmer of who these people really are and what they're really like. Because I think as Americans, we tend not to realize that, in fact, they look at us and say, we wish we could be like them. But many times I look at them and say, I wish we could be like you.
I tell you. Yeah.
Because the moral and ethical values that they have and their determination to want to do and want to be better and their understanding that they have problems is huge. And we don't seem to understand or see that here in the United States we have the same issues and the same problems.
Exactly, just different part of the world. So anyway, Tracy, thank you. I now have to wrap up and thank my viewers for tuning in. And so we'll be talking, Tracy. So thank you for sharing this wonderful program with the viewers who will get to see this. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to the wonderful viewers, your level of consciousness is the gateway to the future. Thank you.